That should be good.
Alright.
You start us off, bud.
Alright, hi guys. We're the Anime Guys. We're doing it's not a review at this point really. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about our top 5 underrated animes. And when we say that, it means that we love them, we think they're awesome, but we think like a lot of people either maybe know about them or don't really know anything about them, or they maybe misjudged them in some way. So Stefan's going to go for his list, or he's going to do one of his lists, and then I'm going to do one and go back and forth. So you guys get 10 animes. A couple of ours repeat one another, but not all of them. So
Yeah, because a lot of people, when they think of animes, they think of like Full Metal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop, Dragon Ball Z. Well, like a lot of ours, we feel like we want to give other ones that deserve a shot at being like towards like the more popular ones that just they didn't get that, they got outshined by other ones. But for my top 5, I want to start off with Rosaria Vampire. Rosaria Vampire, in my opinion, was it was like the classic anime, like boarding school, one guy, lots of girls, but it was a different take on it, and it really involved humor in it, which really made it awesome. And I think that's what a lot of like comedic animes that are underrated are comedies. That maybe you could look at it like on Netflix and you think, well, wow, I'm not gonna like that. It's like, no, I think I'm gonna give it a shot, and then it turns out I've been in one of my animes I like the most.
So my first top one that I'm going to talk to you guys about is called Phantom Requiem for a Phantom. I don't know if you guys have heard this one. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it's fairly recent. Basically, the story itself is about a guy who wakes up in a warehouse and he has no memory of who he is or what he's doing there. And they basically tell him that he has good instincts and they want to train him to be an assassin. I feel like a lot of people don't even know about this anime. I found it on Netflix a while back. They took it off, unfortunately. You can find copies of it, like at Fry's Electronics or online. I really feel like the level of intimacy that goes into it, is just astounding. I mean, there's this huge level of symbolism that goes into the show. Even with the theme song at the beginning of the show gives information about characters in the story and how they really feel. But it's really discreet, but you kind of have to look. You really have to look for it. And it's honestly one of my favorites, so I really recommend you guys get it. It definitely deserves a shot. That's why I consider it underrated, though, is because it had virtually no advertising as opposed to a lot of other shows. So, what's your next one?
My next one is one I just recently picked up from Fry's Electronics. Not that we're totally trying to say that they're awesome or anything, but I found Yamada's First Time, where if you look at the cover itself, it comes off as like, wow, is this one of those kind of animes? And it's actually not. It's one of like more like about one girl's kind of journey through high school and what everyone thinks like a popular girl at high school would be going through, and then another guy, like kind of a not so popular guy, what he's going through and how their thoughts are totally different of how they judge a situation. And I always thought that their interaction was kind of cute, so I like that one.
Not to double up on stuff, but actually my next one was Yamada's First Time as well. I really felt like this particular show had a really misguided. I'm going to talk about Netflix quite a bit on this series of stuff that we do because I feel like Netflix is a really piss poor representation of like describing animes. I think if you read the description, it's all about how Yamada just wants to have sex with 100 different guys. That's established that like that is her desire, although you find out throughout the show that it's really not. I agree with Stefan. The interactions between the two main characters are absolutely hilarious. There's a certain level of realism and a certain level of awkwardness that goes into it. We're actually going to do like a really long review on that one in a little while. So I want you guys, to look forward to that video because it's going to be a lot more in depth and we'll give you guys a little bit more situation about what's going on. But for right now, we're just going to give a little bit of a basic overview on that one. But yeah, that's another one where don't listen to Netflix, watch it yourself and then judge. So yeah,
I could definitely agree with that. That Netflix just totally kind of it doesn't really because it's not really the main focus for animes, but just the fact that a lot of anime watchers have Netflix and they try to watch like Netflix, like they do have like the popular ones like Black Butler, Full Metal Alchemist, and it's just like they advertise those ones as being like these. Oh my gosh, these ones are awesome. But then you see these ones like Yamada's First Time and stuff like that, just being kind of on the stars, like not rated as high, and totally coming off as totally not what the anime is about and what it's trying to accomplish. But for my next one, another one that was on Netflix for a little while, I mean, before I had Netflix, but another one I watched when I was a kid was actually called Birdie the Mighty, and that was like late 90s, and I remember watching when I was like, just had like a basic cable, watching a couple times on Toonami, and I was actually able to pick this up as Birdie the Mighty Decode, which I think is another underrated anime where it's like it fuses humor and action in it. It's basically the stars Birdie, who's an alien from she's like human like alien, and comes to Earth and has to deal with a couple problems that she runs into, and it just with her and this main character. I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like their interaction is also really good, and the anime is very like action packed. So if you really like an action packed anime, this one is definitely for you.
So the next one that I want to talk about is one that I actually just really recently finished, and that's Black Lagoon. For those of you guys that have watched it, I'm pretty sure you're sitting there going that yes, this is an underrated show. And for those of you guys that are wondering what on earth I'm talking about, this show was actually introduced to me by Stefan. He watched it before I did. After he read the manga, it's one of the few manga that he's actually read because I don't really read them either. I watch it for the I watch animes just because I love animes. Anyways, so the show itself for me, it's dark. It's a really dark show. It has a lot of points to it that are funny, but they're more situational. They're not really the whole point of the show. A really similar anime is the first one that I mentioned on this list is Phantom Requiem for a Phantom. These are kind of my two dark ones on the list, where they have a lot more meaning and symbolism. Also, just the story of the main characters. I mean, the first main character you see is Rock, and he kind of starts out as this weak businessman, and you kind of watch him change when he gets introduced to these thugs, basically, of the Lagoon Company. By far, this is one that we're definitely going to spend some time reviewing later on in another video. Because the show definitely is worth talking about. So that's definitely something we're going to get into. So I'm going to leave it there for right now. But definitely if you guys go to check this one out, it's definitely worth it. But it's not a comedy. Let me really put some emphasis on that because I feel like people are going to say, oh, it has funny parts. That does not make it a comedy.
No,
So yeah, definitely.
And be warned, if you are kind of squeamish to like gunfights and stuff like that, like lots of blood, there is a lot of blood.
Yeah, it's pretty gory. it goes pretty in depth. So yeah, just fair warning on that one, guys. So go ahead.
My next one I have is one he recommended to me was a show called Shuffle, and Shuffle was just one. It made me happy watching the show. I mean, it's got comic relief in it, and all the characters. You just love all the characters in it. There's not like one character you say, I despise that character. All these characters you love and just go on this journey with. And I mean, eventually it does get a little more serious, but in the beginning it's very comedic as you're getting introduced to the characters. And I just love that, just how like they interact with each other. Like none of them really have hard feelings towards each other because they all really in depth are friends and they all just love each other so much. And I don't want to get into anything more than that because it would really kind of just start spoiling it. And plus, we're going to be talking about it later in another review. And so, if you want to hear a formal review about that one, we'll get into more details about the characters and whatnot about that one.
Yeah, do keep in mind, guys, that we're going to be doing probably in-depth reviews on all of these. These are just kind of a list to give you an idea of kind of how we think about it. So those of you guys that have seen these shows, you can either agree or disagree with our opinions, but we really just kind of want to see, like, you know, we want you guys to get where we're coming from, kind of as a start of things. Also, be gentle with us. This is our first video, so we're still getting all the mastering of editing and all that worked out. We will get better with time, we swear. Anyways, back to my list that I'm so excited about. So my fourth one on the list is Dance of the Vampire Bund. This show it's not as dark as the other shows that I've listed besides,
Black Lagoon and Phantom.
Yeah, like Yama's first time also. No, so Dance of the Vampire Bund, it's a show about a vampire princess. Her name is Mina Tempish, who is the daughter of Vladimir Tempish, also known as Dracula. He and his wife are dead now, and she is the ruling queen of the vampire nation. She looks like she's the body of a 12-year-old, though, which comes in later on in the show and kind of has a interesting twist on it. Don't think for a minute like there's any kind of weird pedophilia in the show or anything like that. Like, there's like hinted lollies with it, but nothing goes too far at any point, so don't freak out about it. Another thing about the show that I'm really going to say, because if I get too much into the story of it, I'm going to give some stuff away, so I'm going to kind of reel back from that. The only thing I'm going to say, when you watch the show, the first episode is not what the show is like. I almost didn't finish watching the show because after the first episode I was like, this is just weird, but I decided to give the second episode a shot. I would almost recommend literally just watching the second episode first, and then going back to the first episode so you can kind of see the difference in the characters. But yeah, it's a great show. A lot of fan service girls though. Be upfront about that. It's kind of funny, but they kind of make fun of it a little bit, so keep that in mind as well.
Be warned, a lot of our animes that we're going to be reviewing is a lot of fan service for girls.
But
I mean, for guys, so they can see all the girls in their outfits. But that's anime for you.
yeah, I mean, people say that like anime has that kind of thing on it. If you really look at it, 9 times out of 10, they really make fun of it. So do keep that in mind. And for girls that are watching that don't care, thank God for you. Thank you for existing, because you're very rare. Anyways, so it's actually your turn. I'm jumping ahead of myself there.
My number one most underrated anime is probably one of the most violent animes I've ever seen, and this anime came out also in the late 90s, early 90s for Japan, but actually aired in America late 90s, around the time of Cowboy Bebop, and that's Berserk. Berserk is set in a fantasy medieval time frame, and it follows this one guy through his journey about trying to be the best swordsman he basically can be. And eventually he gets really, really good at it, and then starts joins his own rebel army and starts fighting he's like a mercenary basically, what he becomes, and it's basically his journey through it. And it's probably one of the most violent animes I've ever seen. It's really violent. I recommend that if you don't watch it with your parents or don't watch it with your girlfriend, because I don't think that they would appreciate it. It's more of a dude anime, and that's what I come to love about it, is that it does look outdated with the anime, but just notice it's almost 20 years old already, the animation. But I definitely think that everyone should check that one out.
So I did my list kind of in reverse. I did my top pick for what I thought was underrated, and I've kind of gone down the list, whereas he was kind of going up the list. So I'm going to put my one that I feel is underrated, but maybe has a little more popularity these days, also partly due to Netflix. This is the one upside to Netflix, as it did introduce some shows that people maybe didn't see before, and that is where I repeat myself once again with Rosario Vampire. Rosario Vampire for me is definitely one of those shows where it's a standard harem style show, but the comedy in it is so much more than what I was expecting. And the funniest characters in it, I mean, the girls, they seem to be fighting, but it's done in a really comedic way. And you kind of love all the characters. It's a lot like Shuffle. I mean, I love Shuffle. I feel like as far as underrated goes, I'm putting Rosario Vampire a little bit higher on the list. Also, because I think the comedic value is really good too, and this is kind of a list of our personal favorites, and I really find that that's one that even if I'm bored and I'm doing homework or something, I'll put it on just so I can hear the dialogue and I'll still laugh. Do be warned of the math teacher episode though, don't watch that with people that you don't trust, because it gets weird there for a second.
You'll know what we mean.
It's pretty typical anime style though. I mean, if you watch animes regularly, and this is where we're going to kind of put the list aside for a second, because we're done anyways with that. But there's a couple of things that I want to say right now. We're going to review the animes themselves. We're not really going to look at a lot of things like the animation style and things like that. We're going to comment on it saying it's a little outdated if you guys don't like that, or if it's really upfront.
But we really don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, for us it's more about the storylines. We really love the characters themselves, because usually, I mean, I've almost cried in several animes. Hell, I did cry with Shuffle.
Same here.
But the thing is it's because the characters are endearing. And we think that's really impressive, and that's kind of hard to do with just your voice, as these voice actors do, so a lot of props to you guys. Anyways, so do feel free to comment, subscribe. Please, like I said, be gentle. Be so gentle with us.
We're open to criticism, but just be...
I'll wear a suit if I have to. I will pull this off somehow. He won't, though.
I won't.
Yeah, he doesn't. Anyways, so that having been said, we're going to wrap this particular video up. If you guys have any animes you want to recommend, anything where you sit there and be like, hey, I really love this, I think it's underrated, shoot in the comments. We'll definitely check them out. Even if we don't maybe not comment on them later on, we'll definitely check them out at some point. Just because we kind of have a list of about like 30 or 40 shows we need to watch already, and that's after the 25 that I've already seen, not including the anime movies, which we will review. So we're gonna leave
Gurren
that.
Lagann.
Yeah, Gurren Lagann we need to watch. I'm like 8 episodes into it. Yeah, saddest moment in the entire show just happened. If you guys have seen it through episode 8, you know what I'm talking about. Ouch. Anyways, that's just one of the things on our list that we need to get through.
And also in the comments, if you have any animes that you want to recommend to us to check out, also throw it down there and we'll try to get to it eventually. But just in the future, we're not going to be reviewing shows that are not done. So like
Bleach, Naruto,
Shippuden.
I can correct myself. And then even things like Pokemon. Like I watch Pokemon every once in a while, just because it's like I watched the show when I was a kid. And every once in a while, if I see an episode on, I'll put it on, and I'm just like, wow, the animation's gotten so much better, but the characters are exactly the same. We can even talk about that. I plan on reviewing the movies just because, like I said, I love Pokemon because I'm a total dork. So
also like ones that are like progress, like Sailor Moon Crystal, that's airing right now. Yeah, we're not going to be reviewing those until it's done. At least the first season is, and then maybe we'll split it up into 2 separate reviews. But we're going to try to stay away from those because there's plenty of other ones that have finished, and we'll talk about those ones.
Something also, like, one thing you guys maybe are watching SAO. If you are, I love you because I love SAO. Season 2 is airing right now, but it's almost done. So basically, once it's done, I'm going to force this guy to watch it because he doesn't like the show too much. But I'm sure he will once I shove it down his throat. But anyways.
It's okay, I'll check it out, but coming from the guy who hasn't seen Attack on Titan, so...
Yeah, I'm already feeling the haters on that one.
We're already butting heads already, but it's okay. We all have our ones that we like and we don't like, but we'll put them aside for this.
Yeah, anyways, so, literally the last thing we're going to say on this one. Stick around, we're going to be adding more anime lists. Probably we're going to upload more than one at a time, so, yeah. Anyways, once they're up, and we'll hear from you guys again. So... see you guys.
Bye.